Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Phantom Perspectives. And today we're going to be looking at episode 39 of Danny Phantom / the first episode of season 3, Eye for an Eye. And I want to get this out of the way before I actually get into the episode. When it comes down to season 3 of the series, I'm going to be going in very blind. I mentioned that all the way in the beginning of these vlogs that when it comes down to Danny Phantom, I was going to be going in partially blind. And admittedly, when it came down to seasons 1 and 2, I wasn't going in as blind as I thought I would for those, because while there were a couple episodes here and there that I hadn't seen, this is the season that I definitely did not see. I think out of the entire season, out of all of season 3, I only saw one episode. Beyond that, the rest I have, excuse me. Beyond that, I have absolutely no connection to them whatsoever. Beyond that, I know next to nothing about season 3 beyond what I've read. But one of the things that I am aware of about season 3 is that apparently season 3 is where the show really went downhill. As such, characters got flanderized. Some of the writers wound up leaving before this season started. So as such, the new writers didn't fully understand what was going on. Kind of didn't really know exactly what was happening with the characters and so forth. As such, the season ultimately just didn't do as well because of that. Ultimately didn't do as well, including having a lackluster finale, to put it bluntly. I won't talk about that because I haven't seen it yet, and even then I'd rather just wait to discuss it till when I actually got to it. But I feel like if today's episode is anything to go by for the rest of the season, I can kind of understand why. The premise why the season is not as well regarded, because the premise of this episode is that Danny and Vlad in the beginning get into a kind of prank war. What happens is that Danny sent the guys in white to Vlad's house, telling them that there was full of ghosts and so forth. So the guys in white charged into Vlad's new mansion and then just tore the whole place down. Vlad overheard them talking about how Danny sent them to tear apart his house, and so Vlad, to get back at Danny, decided to do the exact same thing and send them to hit Fenton Works. The only reason they don't tear down Fenton Works altogether is because Sam says that they need a warrant and even quotes constitutional law saying, I'm not going to repeat it, and I'm not going to repeat it verbatim, but pretty much it just means that they need a warrant, and with the circumstances surrounding it, they probably can't just barge in without one. As such, Danny decides to get back at him by going to the hotel Vlad is staying at and uses powers to make the portion of the building where Vlad is invisible, or the walls are invisible, so that everyone can see him in there after he just got out of the shower. And so likewise, Vlad returns it in favor when Danny goes to take a shower after gym class. But Vlad, being the vengeful type, continues escalating everything. He buys up the Nasty Burger and tears it down, and then tears it down, rebuilding it as the McMasters, and making it so that teenagers aren't welcome. And to push it even further, he runs for mayor of Amity Park and wins. How? But he wins by cheating, of course. He creates several hundred clones and has them influencing all the voters, which I feel like that could be easily which I don't really know. I understand why he's running for mayor. It's just to get back at it's just to screw with Danny. As such, Vlad wins by a landslide because of this, and the results really coming quickly. Everyone goes in to vote, and then suddenly he's elected mayor, which is really quick, but whatever. And to kind of further tarnish Danny's reputation, he calls him up saying, "This young man is who inspired me to become mayor." And then he starts instituting more rules that are supposed to go against ghosts. He starts instituting what a Tetanus Act, I forgot, I think it's called, which makes it so that all higher technology is kind of banned, including all of Tucker's stuff. Everyone has to wear a uniform. There's higher security at school, and they have and he's also hired the guys in white to act as personal security, which I thought they were a government agency, but whatever. And of course, Danny is apparently guilty by association. As such, everyone gets super fed up, and Danny finally decides to just give up as he goes to see Vlad, and he just goes there and says, "Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did all this. I'm sorry I did all this. Just please stop messing with us." But Vlad doesn't concede. If anything, he actually says that he has no intention on stopping, and he pretty much tells Danny outright that he's going to make his life a living hell, saying that Danny had this coming. Danny just had this coming, which I kind of do, I'm a little on and off about this, but I'll get into that when I get to flaws. As such, he has the guys in white throw Danny out, and so Danny decides that if he can't, if that won't stop Vlad, then he'll just try something else. And since again the teens aren't allowed in the McMaster's burger joint anymore, like in McMaster's, he manages to organize a protest rally against it, and what he wants to do. And so when Vlad goes to take care of it, even though he could send an army of clones to possess all the teenagers and have them listen to him, but whatever. Listen to him. Danny decides that he's going to out Vlad in front of everybody, though, even though Vlad could probably out Danny as well, but whatever. But before Danny can officially say that Vlad Masters and Vlad Plasmus are one of the same, Vlad Plasmus shows up. It turns out that Vlad was expecting this and cloned himself, sending his clone out to, and having his clone appear and have him fight Danny, which was also meant to go into his which part of the thing he said was that Danny Phantom was pretty much he was going with the J. Jonah Jameson Spider-Man angle with Danny now, saying that Danny is the reason why that Danny Phantom causes more problems than he fixes, because he attracts all the ghosts. Excuse me. Sorry, an hour ago I had some lunch, so it's kind of coming back up. But as such, since Vlad is a lot more powerful than Danny, his clone is easily kicking his ass, and so Vlad, to try and make himself look even more good, pulls out a little portable blaster, and his clone, of course, concedes in saying, "Oh, please don't hurt me, I'm a ghost, it's in my nature." And however, Danny decides to take advantage of this by quickly overshadowing Vlad's clone, which I don't think is possible. But then again, in Dark Danny's timeline, he somehow merged the ghosts halves together. I don't know. The bottom line, Danny causes Vlad's clone to fly around and fly right to his limo, which Vlad shoots and destroys. And while the clone is destroyed, Danny himself in the wreckage they find Danny, who makes it look like that he was just hiding there minding his own business when Vlad shot at him and injured him. This backlash in turn causes Vlad to kind of pull back his reins on when it comes down to all the ghost stuff, as he takes back all the extra laws he made to go for like the dress codes and so forth, and says that he'll turn the McMasters back into the Nasty Burger and allow teenagers to be in there all the time. And the episode ends with the group realizing that even if Vlad may not have won, it's essentially at a draw, and eventually they were probably going to come to blows again. So yeah, I'm just gonna come right out. It's this episode was a thing, I think. Yeah, I didn't exactly care for the episode. It wasn't really that good, if I'm gonna be honest. Like the beginning, I found the prank war thing to be kind of a little annoying. Though I think it would be. Though the idea of Vlad going so far as to become mayor to ruin Danny and this thing would actually kind of does seem, I think, would actually fit Vlad because he is that petty. But just to see the lengths he's going to just to screw with Danny is kind of a little annoying. And again, you could apparently a problem throughout this. Apparently, in this season, Vlad has kind of switched gears when it comes to Danny, because before, he and Danny have come to blows before, but he's always kind of seen Danny as a surrogate son. He has actually wanted Danny to be under his wing, and if not him, maybe Jazz or whatever. Just maybe someone from the Fenton family, and by that I mean the kids, Maddie. But here he's just out to completely ruin Danny, and it apparently apparently in season 3 he's no longer trying to win Danny over to his side. He's just out to ruin Danny's life because of this prank war, I suppose. Though I think an argument could be like, Vlad is petty. I don't know if he's that petty, and I think that Vlad probably would have held it over Danny's head. Like, I think maybe he would have had Danny. Like, I feel like that if Danny apologized, Vlad would have probably extorted more stuff out of him instead of just trying to rub it in his, instead of just trying to continually make Danny's life a living hell. Like, I think Vlad may be a dickhead to the highest degree, but he does have some kind of class to him. He actually does kind of have a twisted sense of honor to him. Though, again, you could probably make the argument that the prank war kind of tipped everything, kind of tipped what was going on. Because the last time we saw him before this episode was I forgot what it was called. I'll remember it later. But it was the episode with it was the episode with the clones and so forth. Kindred Spirits, yeah, that was what it was called. The last time we saw it was in Kindred Spirits, and by that episode, he was trying to create a Danny clone. So any clone, and was even admitted he was going to get rid of Danny after he had the clone, after he made the perfect clone. So you can easily make the argument that even before this episode, he had given up on going after Danny because if he was going to make a clone anyway, he realized that Danny may never be his son, but so he wanted to make something else, and maybe Danny killing the clone made him made him want to go after, already made him hate Danny enough, and this prank war just kind of was the last push he needed to go after Danny. But I don't know, it just kind of feels way too petty for Vlad. And on top of that, we already had the town turns against Danny Phantom thing in the episode. I forgot what that episode was too. Sorry, but we already kind of had that with Walker when he turned Danny into Public Enemy number 1. So, I think it was Public Enemies? I don't know. I think we already kind of dealt with that, and it was kind of resolved, so to kind of dredge it back up is kind of weird. And on top of that, the whole prank, well, I do kind of find the whole idea of Danny and Vlad getting into a prank war kind of amusing, especially when Vlad actually does start resorting to start going down to Danny's level to do it. It's just, or Danny. I kind of find it funny, though I admit Danny having the guys in white trash Vlad's mansion was probably a very dick move. He probably did bring it on himself, though Vlad was the one that pushed it over the edge, especially since Danny apologized for what he did when Vlad proved his point. I don't know. I just feel like on top, I don't really know how to I just don't really get this episode that well. And I just don't get the episode. Like, the whole central conflict is that Vlad's running for mayor to get back at Danny for messing with him and kind of making him a laughingstock. But he just keeps pushing it further, and of course he's just ruining Danny's life for the sake of ruining Danny's life. Eventually, he just keeps pushing it, trying to make. He just wants Danny to suffer at this point, and he seems to be able to understand everything. Honestly, though, I feel like he probably would have accepted Danny's apology, or at least would have made Danny grovel, because that's kind of the relationship he and Danny have. Because despite everything, there is a part of him that respects Danny. Despite despite all the blows that they've had, there is a part of him that respects Danny. Even if he does hate the kid and will try to hurt him, there is a part of him that respects him and his ingenuity, even if he will never say it to Danny. It's part of the reason why Vlad wanted to kind of adopt him, not just because he felt like he got cheated out of what he was rightfully owed because of Jack, but because he feels like Danny would be the best thing he had to his son, especially with his ghost powers. He actually does kind of respect Danny, though again you can go back to he was already on the edge thanks to the clone thing, and this just pushed it, and this finally just pushed it. But I don't know, I just feel like I still don't know, I'm still kind of questioning it, especially since he still keeps referring to Dan. He keeps telling Danny that he's his Uncle Vlad, though maybe it's just to rub it in, or I don't know. I feel like it just kind of degrades the relationship that they've had to have him just trying to continually to try and mess with Danny. Especially since he's now mayor of Amity Park, and I might as well and I feel like I should talk about that. I understand why he did it. It's the pettiest of petty things. He's just trying to screw with Danny, and what's a better way he can screw with him than by being in a position of power. that especially in a town especially in Danny's town. But on top of that, the whole episode just kind of doesn't. I feel like the way the episode paced everything with Vlad's ascent to power kind of felt a little rushed. Like we go from the prank war to Vlad escalating it to him become to him just doing that to him overshadowing all the candidates to get the best the vote. Which I still understand. If he had that much power, maybe he could. He had that much power. Actually, scratch that. If he had this much power, why does he still want to bother with this? I mean, yeah, he could still ruin Danny. I guess he wants to show him on a personal level too, but I feel like he could just kind of make everything worse for Danny if he had a whole army of clones. He could, like, or even possess those protesters. He could have protested, like, he could use his ghost powers to not only make himself more powerful, but to secure his political. Like, okay, going back to the, actually, scratch, let me go back and talk about the voter thing. I think I'll scratch that complaint, but I will, but he uses his clones to completely overshadow them. But for some reason he didn't. But I feel like, but that could show that he could easily use his powers for more greater things to secure his political power, and that I think would be a terrifying blow. He could easily control everything in the town, having it running, and anyone that spoke up against him, just possess them, and boom, they're no longer his opponent. You could just have them gone. And I feel like that would be more terrifying, but it's just really. But it's really just a game of cat and mouse with Danny, and that's this whole reason for coming to power, just to screw with Danny. Like in past episodes, he was evil, but he wasn't that petty. I mean, okay, he was that petty with Jack. He sent Ghost to go after him, but he had grander goals than just I hate. He had grander goals than that. And again, when he hates some, like despite how he hated Jack and wanted to take everything from him, he didn't go after everything he loved, but Danny, I suppose you could say, personally ironed him. Not intentionally. I don't know. I think my stuttering is that I wanted to like the episode going in, but I don't like the new dynamic. I think that's his biggest problem. I don't like how they changed that dynamic with Danny and Vlad. To have Vlad be in a position of power, having him wanting to just screw with Danny, or having him just kind of screwing with Danny. I think I preferred their original relationship, with Vlad belittling Danny or them fighting, but him at the same time making some weird come on to his mom, or talking about how or complimenting Danny while still being a completely evil. I kind of like that one better, but this new status quo, I don't know if I'm completely for that. It just feels like something. This feels like a big unnecessary. It feels like too big of a change that doesn't make a lot of sense when you try. Doesn't make a lot of sense when you see it in action. On top of that, everything's just corny as all hell, and we've already seen the whole anti-ghost thing. And on top of that, Danny doesn't exactly help the issue either. Again, he may have started the prank war, and while he did say I'm sorry, he doesn't I feel like he doesn't exactly add to he doesn't exactly help things out. I will give credit. There are some good laughs with him. On top of that, how are the guys in white even employed? They're government employees, and I'm sorry I keep stuttering when I talk about this episode. I don't know how to react to it. It's just not that good. I don't like the new dynamic. Everything leading up to it just felt weird. It felt weird and too petty, even for Vlad. It's just, the pacing was just kind of weird. It just kind of off. It went from prank war, Vlad last minute electoral, him winning, somehow becoming mayor in that time, and things just continually getting weirder. It just kind of was odd to me. Everything him trying to discredit all the ghosts was done before with Walker and Public Enemies, but and on top of that and then of course this is like a minor point, but how the hell did Danny overshadow his ghost? I don't think Ghost can overshadow Ghost. The closest we saw to that was Dark Danny, and even then he didn't overshadow Vlad's ghost half. They were fused together into one being. It wasn't one overshadowing the other. It was them turning into a conglomerate of both ghost halves, not this. And I don't know. I feel like this was I don't hate the episode because, again, there is some kind of humor seeing the prank war going on and seeing how Danny, Sam, and Tucker kind of suffer with Vlad's laws, specifically Tucker when he loses technology. That one's actually kind of funny. But ultimately, the episode was just kind of at best. sucky at worst, or sucks at worst. At best, sucks at worst. So, yeah. I feel like this isn't a good sign for season 3, and again, I already said. And odds are people are right, though I never doubted them, so. But, again, just gonna try and keep going with this. I'll probably get through it. I'm sure there are probably some good episodes, because I remember the episode I saw, the one episode I saw before the one episode I saw in the season wasn't that bad, so, well, I don't know. I'm gonna hold out hope. Maybe there's some episodes here and there that I'll end up liking, but if this episode's anything to go by, I don't know if I'm gonna be enjoying season 3. So, yeah, my rambling's over with. Sorry I had to keep dealing with my whatever throughout this whole video, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.